following program is a production of Ho'ike Kauaʻi Community Media.
Aloha and welcome to Talkin Trash, the best television program on Kauaʻi dedicated entirely to waste disposal. I'm Max Richardson.
And I'm Allison Fraley, and this episode is about renovations to our refuse transfer stations.
Now, first of all, you might notice that we've got some new microphones, and I even remembered to put a plant in the background. I even took the recycling bin from the back of the office. I think these mics will give us a better sound, so let us know what you think in the comments, or you can send me an email at mrichardson@hoike.org. And with that, let's just get started with the questions. So, how did you get into this line of work, Allison? What was it that motivated you to get into the glorious world of waste management?
Well, it was a really long time ago when I was in college, and I have a really deep environmental ethic. And I was trying to think of what I could do to help the planet, knowing that there was global warming happening and all these terrible things. So I decided that getting into the field of waste diversion and recycling was something that I personally could do to make the world a better place. So I became the county's first recycling coordinator back in 2000 and have been working in solid waste management here at the county since then and got promoted to be the chief of the solid waste division.
Wow, that's awesome. So you were the first recycling coordinator for the whole county?
Yep.
That's super cool. And so what was your degree in? You said you got on this journey in college.
Yeah, so I have a master's degree in social psychology, actually with an environmental emphasis, trying to figure out what motivates people to divert and recycle waste. And so my master's thesis was on recycling behavior.
That sounds like the perfect degree for someone in your position to have, because we can come up with all the recycling technology we want. Getting people to recycle.
And it's not what you'd think that motivates people to. It's interesting.
Yeah, so. That's really interesting. I'll have to pick your brain about some of that social science stuff on a future episode.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool. All right, so current events. It's a crazy time in the world of waste disposal on Kauaʻi. We got transfer stations closing down. We got transfer stations opening up. We got transfer stations changing the rules on us. We got bag trash only here, no green waste there. It's kind of a lot to keep track of. Can you give us a general overview of what's going on with all of our different transfer stations on the islands?
Yeah, so generally speaking, right now, the Kapaʻa Transfer Station is closed for renovations. It has been closed since November. And so we aren't accepting any trash or recyclables except for green waste. Green waste is open in Kapaʻa right now. And Lihue had a renovation recently, and it was just a short-term renovation, and that's when we did a lot of underground work with wastewater treatment systems, but we do have more renovation to do at Lihue, so that we had to put some restrictions in place to protect our equipment and to protect our county workers. So the restrictions at Lihue Transfer Station are that we're not accepting construction and demolition debris waste, and we're not accepting pallets unless they're cut into 4 pieces, and we're not accepting trailers at Lihue Transfer Station. So we're able to accept the majority of the waste that comes in from the public, that it can be loose mixed waste, bag trash, it can even be bulky items, but we can't take those things that I mentioned because we want to keep everybody safe.
Okay, all right. So when you say we're doing renovations, what exactly does that mean? Are we putting in new open concept kitchens? Are we changing the light bulbs? Are we repainting? What are we doing?
Well, the reason that we're doing all of this is to be in compliance with our National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permits. So NPDES is the permit we have to be in compliance with. It's a clean water permit. So in a nutshell, the improvements are, firstly, to improve leachate drainage and management systems, also to improve stormwater management, and to cover and pave areas where we receive recyclables and waste. Because once water hits waste or recyclables, leachate comes off, and then you have problems with clean water.
Okay, so it's mostly leachate related.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's to be in compliance with wastewater programs.
So what was the system before? I'm guessing was just an organic runoff system, or like?
Yeah, well, the system is the system that it is now, where
Okay.
you know, at the transfer stations, as you've seen them now, it's not in compliance because rain is hitting, you know, metals, and that's creating leachate. So we're going to be covering those areas where the metals go. For instance, in Kapaʻa, it's going to look completely different once it's renovated.
Okay, yeah, because right now it's just a big empty lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And then what leachate is created, right? Because I'm guessing you're not going to be sealing this stuff inside of a bubble, so some water will get on it. Where is the leachate going to go?
So there's going to be underground 10,000 gallon leachate tanks installed at all the stations except for Lahui, which already has a leachate storage tank.
Okay, so when we say renovations, we mean pretty serious ones.
Yes, very serious.
Wow, a
yeah.
10,000
Millions.
gallon tank, that's got to be pretty large.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and then so does it drain just or leach into the ground from there, or?
No, the
does the
leachate
tank
tanks
have to be
get pumped and then the water gets treated. But you know what does drain is the stormwater, and that goes into like containment, depending on the location. But we have detention basins on site at the transfer stations where it evaporates the stormwater.
Very interesting. So all this, where the water goes, there's a lot of science and
Yes.
engineering behind it. And
Exactly.
it's something that I think a lot of us don't really think. I don't really think about where water goes after it falls on my house. It just, it goes down the downspout and then it goes
Somewhere.
away.
Yeah.
All right. So what exactly is a refuse transfer station? I think we all know it's where we go, where we can take our garbage and other waste goods. But what actually happens there? Is it just a big pit where a truck takes all this stuff to the landfill, or is there actual waste processing done there? Like,
That's
what's
a
the
really good
scoop?
question. So, firstly, the purpose of the transfer station is to transfer waste to the landfill. So, the sources of that waste are varied. First of all, when the garbage truck comes to your house to pick up garbage, they compact it and go to the next house and compact it, and then finally they have this truck full of garbage, and then they take it to the transfer station. They dump it at the transfer station into our 40-foot trailers, and it goes to the landfill. So that's one source. Another source is residential drop-off, people that have a bag or two, maybe that opted out of collection service. So they bring their trash there. If they have a mass cleanup at their house, they have more than what can fit in their container, then they bring trash. And that's all free. It's part of the base fee that people pay for residential service. And then also, small businesses can come with certain size trucks, smaller trucks, but they do have to pay tip fees, and they get a coupon at the DMV where they can pay a coupon and then dump waste at the transfer station. So those are our three customers: the trash trucks, residents that are self-hauling, and then businesses that pay the tip fee coupons.
Okay, cool. And that's a question that I actually forgot to write on the cards, but I always see the sign there that says tip fees enforced. You have to present your coupon. So small businesses, if they want to get those tipping coupons, the DMV is where they go.
Yes. Okay. And then also the restriction on the trucks is it's a 3/4 ton truck or a 1 ton truck limit, not anything bigger than that.
Okay.
And so that's one thing that we do at the transfer station is manage trash. We also manage a lot of recyclables there. So we accept propane tanks, used residential tires, used motor oil, green waste as well. And all of those things go to places where they're either they're processed on site, or else they're baled and bundled and shipped off island to process.
Okay. So no actual processing of the waste happens at the transfer stations, but it is a little more involved than just a pit where the garbage waste.
Yeah, it goes into a 40-foot container.
Okay.
That you've probably seen them on the road, the big green containers with the county marking. That's going to the landfill or coming back from the landfill.
Cool. Okay. So you mentioned green waste. I've always just personally wondered this: where does the green waste go? Because I know, we go and we dump it, and there's these big giant piles of leaves and stuff. Where do they take that?
Yeah, so we have contracts with permitted composting facilities, and we do a competitive bid process to be able to get these guys to accept our green waste. What happens is we accept it, we haul it, and then we drop it at the composting facilities, and then they shred it, and then they compost it in using a windrow system, which are long line, like rows of green waste that they turn and manage, and it breaks down. They grind it first. I forgot to say that part, but they're managing it there. I did.
They shred it. Okay, that sounds actually kind of interesting. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe in a future episode we'll have to take a tour of one of those places.
It's a really
you can
interesting.
Get us in there.
They can be long tours too. Very interesting tours. Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah. Maybe there will be a segment on that in a future episode. So aside from, and you mentioned some of the stuff, but aside from trash and green waste, what other stuff can I bring to the transfer stations? And I think it's different.
Yeah, they're all a little different. That's why I kind of skirted around it, because it's a little bit different everywhere. So at Honolulu, for instance, we do have a Kauaʻi Recycles drop bin there, and that's where you can take these kinds of household recyclables as long as they're source separated. So, we accept the cardboard, paper, glass, aluminum, metals, and plastic number 1 and number 2 bottles and jars. At Honolulu, we also accept scrap metal and appliances and tires and motor oil and propane tanks. So Honolulu, we accept all of the recyclables. That's a good thing because they're pretty far away from everything else. Kapaʻa, we accept everything that I just said except for those household recyclables. The drop bin for Kapaʻa, Kauaʻi Recycles, is over on Kauaʻi Road, which is near the Kapaʻa base yard in the ballpark. So that's Kapaʻa. And then at Lihue, we don't accept metals or appliances, and that's because Puhi Metals is so close to the Lihue transfer station, and we have limited space at Lihue to take those things. So any metals that residents have, they should take them, that are in Lihue, take them straight to Puhi Metals. And then in Hanapepe, we take everything that we take at Kapaʻa. So I'll just repeat the list again. We accept green waste, scrap metal, appliances, propane tanks, tires, and used motor oil.
Okay. And what happens to the tires? I'm always curious.
Our contractor for the tires, they bundle them. They have a permitted facility on Kauaʻi. They bale them. So there's this big machine that squishes them. You can imagine how hard they are to squish down, and they wrap them up, and then they ship them to Oahu. And then they have, depending on the markets, there's different things they can do with it, and they do change all the time. Mostly they are burned as a fuel source, maybe sometimes in different countries, but they can be crumbed for other purposes.
Yeah, I know. Like, I remember when I was a kid, they resurfaced the playground, and they had like the rubberized. It was made out of old tires.
Yeah. There's lots that you can do with tires. It just depends on what the market is.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So at Kapaʻa, we are closed for about 9 months, from November until July 2025. We realize that that's a huge burden. That's our largest residential population. They have to go to other places. And there are people that, like I had said before, opt out of waste collection services. So how do they dispose of their trash without driving really far? What we've done is we've created a system where Friday through Sunday at the Kapaʻa base yard, which is across from the Kauaʻi Recycles drop bins on Kauaʻi Road, we accept bag trash from residents. So we're set up with trash bins and the garbage truck and garbage guys that are there to help you, and you just go and drop off your trash. And the hours are 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Friday through Sundays. The reason it's limited to those days is because that truck that's providing that service is on the road Monday through Thursday.
Okay, well, cool. That's a really cool compromise for, since, sometimes people don't want to drive all the way to Lihue or whatever. I'm lucky. I work in Lihue, so when I have trash to take, I just throw it in the car and drop it off after work.
We do have renovations coming up because we're only at Kapaʻa now. We still have to do Hanapepe and Hanalei. We're working on the financing. We're getting a state revolving fund loan from the Clean Water branch at the State Department of Health. That's all been approved. We're going to be going out to bid for the construction of those other 2 transfer stations. Once we have a construction contractor on board, we're going to do the Hanapepe transfer station first, and that closure at that location is going to be about 6 months. And then Hanalei's last, and it's going to be about a 9-month closure. That will be very difficult, we know, for the residents, so we have time in advance to figure out how we're going to help them out during that closure.
That's good, yeah, because that bridge is going to make it a nightmare if they have to drive all the way to Kapaʻa or Lihue. I heard also, now this, I didn't have time to write this one down either, because I heard just in the lunchroom today that the county was mentioning something about there might be delays or some kind of difficulties with curbside trash pickup because of these renovations. Is that
that's a
am I
great
getting
question.
bad information, or
No,
is it
that's the information. So what happens is, like I mentioned earlier, the purpose of the transfer stations is to accept waste from the trash trucks. Well, if the transfer station's closed, we can't do that. And so we have to have the trucks go all the way to the landfill. And they usually do about 2 loads a day. And so it's just a lot of driving for our drivers. So they're not going to complete their routes in the same amount of time that they do if they're not driving all the way to the landfill. So your trash will not be picked up on the regular schedule while we're doing these renovations, which is going to be quite a while. What happens is people get used to their trash getting picked up at a certain time, and they might put it out in the morning right before it's supposed to go, and then we might miss them. So the rule always has been you have to put your trash out the night before, at least by 4 in the morning before your service, instead of waiting until the morning of service. So please, everybody, make sure you put out your trash the night before your collection date. And if anybody has any questions about any of the things that we're talking about, please call our office during business hours. The phone number is 808-241-4841. And also our website at kauaʻi.gov/solid waste has a lot of information, especially with updates on the transfer stations. We are having periodic closures because of equipment breakdown too, and that puts an even heavier burden on everyone if we have stations shut down and then something else goes down. So just to be kept up to speed, you can look at our website to see what's happening day by day.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's our show. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions for Allison or for me, please leave us a comment, or you can send me an email at mrichardson@huike.org. Or if you're listening to this as a podcast, you can send us a text from the link down in the show notes.
Thanks for tuning in, and tune in next month when we'll be talking more trash.
Aloha.
Aloha.
I think so.
You think it went
I think
okay?
so. Yeah, I think we're both a little less nervous than we were on the first episode.
Oh, well, I wasn't nervous the first episode.
okay.
And you